Hi everyone, it's Urmi and Sanjay from Jetsetting with us.
Welcome back to our Svalbard Expedition Cruise series. If you've been following along, you already learned how to plan a trip like this in episode 1. And in episode 2, we took you up close and personal to the wildlife and Arctic glaciers that you see around Svalbard.
But what's it actually like to live on a ship like this for a full week up in the Arctic? We're going to get into that in this episode. We're going to walk you through what a typical day on the ship looked like, share some of the surprises we did not see coming, and talk about some of the small moments that made this trip so unforgettable, and those included ones that we weren't even out spotting wildlife.
If you missed the earlier episodes, we left links to the full series in the description below. And if you've enjoyed this journey so far, we'd love it if you'd hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss what's coming next. We've also left a referral link for AdventureSmith Explorations, who will give you personalized guidance the same way that we got when we booked our expedition cruise. Make sure that you give them the referral code Jetsetting with us when you speak to them. Furthermore, we left some affiliate links for some of the gear that we used and highly recommend if you're planning your own Arctic adventure. That all being said, let's dive right in.
First, let's talk about what the daily routine looks like. Life aboard an expedition cruise does not look the same as a vacation cruise. There's no fixed itinerary, no port calls, and you're usually not sleeping in just to wake up to mimosa brunch. However, there is a rhythm, and once you get into it, it feels surprisingly natural.
We're showing you the real agendas from our cruise, but again, yours will be different as no two cruises have the same specific agendas. Most mornings begin with an early wake-up call, often around 6 or 7 a.m. We'd grab breakfast, bundle up, and head out for a zodiac landing or cruise, where we might explore a glacier, hike along the shoreline, or look for wildlife from the water. After the morning outing, we'd come back to the ship for lunch and a short break. Then in the afternoon, it was usually time for a second expedition, weather and ice permitting.
Each evening wrapped up with dinner and a daily briefing, where the crew would share highlights from the day and give us a presentation on some fun and interesting aspect of Svalbard. Of course, there were plenty of changes along the way. Here's an example on screen of the agenda getting changed throughout the morning. The crew never shared much about how they were making decisions in real time, which could be a little frustrating, but the structure behind it became more obvious as the trip went on.
Despite the unpredictability, the core schedule was obvious. Eat, gear up, explore, repeat. And that was a perfect type of thing you want for an expedition cruise like this. Next, we're going to talk about some of the surprises that we had on this cruise, the things we didn't really expect going in. First, we were pleasantly surprised at just how social everybody was on this trip. There were many solo travelers and couples like ourselves, who always wanted to be mingling and meeting other people. The meals were perfect time for this because there weren't any assigned seats, so people always sat with somebody new. We also found that the crew were happy to mingle with the passengers during this time as well. After dinner, many people would go to the bar where they would socialize and swap stories not just from that day, but from previous travels that people have done as well. It was overall a very lively and friendly environment that we didn't expect going in, but were pleasantly surprised to see.
Second, how much we loved kayaking. Going into it, we thought it might feel a little gimmicky, or at least like a novelty offering, but it ended up being one of our favorite parts of the trip. Paddling quietly through glassy Arctic waters, with icebergs around us and seals popping up nearby, it was peaceful, surreal, and made us feel even more immersed in the landscape than the Zodiac outings did.
Third, how emotionally absorbing we actually found this trip. Even when we weren't doing anything, for example, just watching ice drift by from our balcony, it held our attention in a way we didn't expect. The scale of the glaciers, the quality of the light, the feeling of distance from the rest of the world, you couldn't just tune it out. There was always something worth paying attention to, even in the quiet moments. It was these smaller, less scripted experiences that really stuck with us, and that made this trip feel personal in a way we hadn't anticipated.
Up next, we'll talk more about daily life on the ship, from what meals were like to how it felt living with 24 hours of daylight up in the high Arctic.
Not all expedition cruises are the same. Some operate on ships which are a little bit older or more rugged or more basic. We happened to be on a ship that was quite a bit newer, which provided for a more comfortable onboard experience. If you work with AdventureSmith Explorations, they'll help you navigate some of these factors when you're choosing your cruise. We also talked about some of these factors in episode 1 if you want to go check that episode out. Meals were served 3 times a day, and the quality was quite excellent. Ormi and I are vegetarians, and we were a little bit nervous going in if we'd have anything to eat. But actually, the crew took outstanding care of us. Our meals were basically made to order for us for every single meal. Also, if you get hungry during the day, there are snacks, tea, and coffee available 24/7, so you always have something to nosh on.
The ship also had a bar, and it became a social hub in the evenings. Every evening, we'd find a big crew of people from around the world swapping stories and laughing late into the night over drinks. And speaking of night, it never felt like night. The sun stays up for 24 hours a day during the Arctic summer, so even at midnight, the light made it feel like it was still 1 in the afternoon. It completely messes with your sense of time, but in a fun way.
We were told in advance that the Wi-Fi would be a bit unreliable. Maybe we just got lucky, but surprisingly, our Wi-Fi was quite reliable for the whole trip. The complimentary Wi-Fi was good enough for just some basic emails and messaging. If you want the premium Wi-Fi, on our trip it cost $35 a day. To save some costs, we only used it every other day. I hope you're not trying to take this cruise to work a full 8-hour day and get some video conferencing in. If you're going to do this experience, do it for the full expedition experience and put the work away.
The ship wasn't luxurious in the traditional sense, but it was comfortable, warm, and well run. And that's exactly what you want when you're this far from home. Next, we're going to share a few things we wish we'd known going in so that you have all the insider info to make the most of your trip.
First, charter flights may not operate as planned. This may be hard to believe, but even if you book your charter flight through your cruise operator, delays can still come up. For us, we got delayed due to the flight operator on the way into Svalbard and on the way out by hours and hours. They didn't offer us any compensation. Thankfully, our cruise operator did, but they only knew about the problem because passengers complained. The moral of the story is, if you don't speak up when you have a problem, the crew can't do anything about it. Our operator is well known for great customer service, and they took great care of the passengers by offering a $100 onboard credit for everybody because of the delay coming into Svalbard.
Second, the trip will wear you out. Not in a bad way, but by day 4 or 5, the early mornings, constant layering, zodiac rides, and Arctic weather really catch up to you. Even with rest time on the ship, you'll feel it in your body. By the end, we were absolutely wiped. So build in a buffer day or 2 after your trip. If you can, you'll need it.
Third, information is sparse, and that's by design. The crew doesn't share much in advance about daily plans. Landings, wildlife sightings, weather, it's all in flux. While that keeps the experience flexible, it also means you need to let go of planning tendencies and lean into the unknown. If you're like Ormi and me, and you're the kind of traveler who likes a clear agenda, this trip will test that.
And finally, kayaking was a highlight. It felt peaceful, intimate, and bonding. Our group was small, which meant more time on the water and some built-in friendships. Sanjay and I were total beginners, while others were way more experienced. But the crew made it work for the entire group for a great outing every single time. Plus, free drinks at the farewell party definitely did not hurt.
Up next, we'd like to share a couple special, memorable moments from this trip which don't quite fit in the main storyline. We'd really like to share these with you, but just to show some of the human aspects that you see in this trip as well. First, as mentioned earlier, the bar was a place where some people would congregate after dinner if they felt like socializing before going to bed. What Ormi and I didn't expect was to find the ship's captain there a couple nights as well. We spoke to him and learned that twice a year, he sails that ship back and forth on polar-to-polar sailing routes between Svalbard and Ushuaia, Argentina during the Antarctic cruise season. It was moments like this that made it feel like less of a rigid operation and more like a shared human experience.
Then there was the farewell party on the last night where the crew actually hosted a charity auction benefiting Arctic conservation. One of the items up for bid was a map of Svalbard with our route charted day by day across the ice and fjords. We ended up bidding on it and won the map, and it is one of our favorite souvenirs from our entire trip. In fact, about a week later, we were at my friend's wedding, and we ended up carrying the entire map everywhere because it was so precious to us. While these weren't headline Arctic moments, such as seeing polar bears or having that seal pup come play with us while we were out kayaking, they're definitely moments we think about when we think about our whole Arctic experience.
We'd like to wrap up the 3-part series with the following thoughts. The big question is, would we recommend this kind of trip? We weren't sure ahead of time if it would be enjoyable or not. We know that we like active trips, but a lot of influencers will say that they enjoyed every single trip. We know that can't possibly be true. For us, now that we've done the actual trip, we can confirm this was totally worth the money spent and we had an awesome time.
If you're thinking about booking your own Arctic expedition, we've linked our full series in the description below. Everything from planning and packing, to wildlife and glaciers, to life on board.
We booked our trip through AdventureSmith Explorations. In the description below, we left our referral link and our booking code Jetsetting with us. If you book using our link, you'll get access to the same great team that gave us this once-in-a-lifetime experience at no extra cost to you. We receive a small commission, which helps us keep producing amazing content for you.
If this series helped you at all, perhaps it inspired you, gave you someplace new to dream about, or saved you some time in your own planning, be sure to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure.
And if you have questions about Svalbard, the Arctic, or just expedition cruises, leave a comment below. We'll be sure to help out however we can.
Thanks for coming along on this journey with us. We look forward to seeing you at our next destination. Bye for now.